Welcome back to Blackacre Ranch, everybody. All right, today's the day for a long overdue topic of discussion. As you know, my family and I built this handling facility probably 2 years ago and did it all from scratch. We spent a lot of time planning it, figuring out the sizing of all the pens, what we kind of needed, how the flow would go, all that stuff. And I've always been thinking, it's like, you know, I should probably tell some people about it. I thought I'd share it with you about why we did what we did, what we would do to improve it. I mean, ultimately, the handling facility, if you don't know, is just a place that you can gather, divide, and work your animals to provide them the healthy stuff that they need. Join us, we're gonna go over this, about the things that you need to consider when you build or when you improve your handling facility. So I'm gonna take you through the 4 different areas of a handling facility. That involves the gathering pen, that's where we're in now. Then you have the sort pens, which is where I was. You have the working facility, and then you have post-sort pens. Those are the 4 areas of a handling facility that I think you gotta have to really adequately work them, at least comfortably, to handle all the different situations. I'm looking for Bartok over here. I need him to get in there, and sometimes he does. What we want to do is we want to trap him in there. We're going to bait him in there, a safe way to get him in. We're actually going to be selling him, and we'll kind of explain that a little bit more a little later on. But anyway, back to the handling facility, guys. Handling facilities, this is like a how-to and layout design and other things like this, considerations you want to do for your handling facility. Hey, Stephanie, what's up, girlfriend? I know, I don't have anything. Before I begin this whole layout discussion, guys, I just want to make sure that there's a couple principles known. You want to be as safe as possible. Make this thing simple and reduce the stress of the animals and reduce your stress. If it's going to, work in a way that's frustrating you, change it. If you have not built your facility yet, you've got to visualize kind of how the animals are going to flow through it. You just want it to be simple and not complex. Less stress on you means happier animals and happier you. If you have stressful animals, it's going to be dangerous for them and potentially dangerous for you. I would honestly suggest go out and look at other people's layouts, especially buffalo. This discussion applies for cattle as much as it does buffalo, but buffalo seem to be a little antsier and a little riskier when you work, so definitely take note of that. But otherwise, cattle can be easier to work, actually. Second, reduce the risk of harm. We're looking for safety here, not just the stress level, but we need to figure out, where do you work? Okay, do you want to work inside the pens? Do you want to work outside the pens? That makes a difference. What kind of features do you want to have? Do you want to have gate latches that automatically shut? How do you want the animals to flow? What size of the animals at one time do you want to work? How big of the group? That kind of thing. How many animals are you going to have? All that makes a difference on when you're planning this facility, what you need to do. All right, the third thing, I'm going to just say it. There's no perfect design. You got to come out with a layout. We have done numerous layouts before we even built this thing. A lot of layouts. And we'd visited people's places. And I'll tell you, this isn't a perfect design, right? There are things that are going to change, and you will too. No matter what you do, you will want to change things on your layout. At some point, you just got to put stuff in the ground and get going, okay? There is no perfect design. What will help your design is if, see, here he comes. Here he comes. What will help your design is if you do it on a flat surface, right? Don't do this on a hillside. 2, have utilities like water and electric. Just remember, you're gonna tweak it, okay? You're gonna tweak it. Now, I just need Bartok. He may go to the far side, which will be perfect, right? See, guys, this is how, if you have a handling facility and you use it good, you just know everything works fine. You can get them in here with no stress, no problems. We're just going to secure him in with some chickies and then divide them up. I'm going to show that all to you as we talk about how this thing flows, but I'm going to see if some of them leave first. So yeah, back to it. No perfect design. Do not be afraid to change what you've got. You will have to. People who have these things ironed out have been using them for years and years and years, and they just had it figured out, all right? And then I kind of alluded to it, your operational design. Oh crap, he's going to come out. Hey, 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 hey. Talking about latches, huh? All right, Ahmed's gonna be a little upset. No, I'm not locking you guys in. think about how you want to work this, guys, right? So do you want to be inside the pen doing crap like that with chains? Or do you want to be outside? Meaning you can operate gates and stuff and sort and other things like that outside, never having to be in with the animals. You just got to figure out what you want to do. So that determines your layout. If I was to do it again, I would maybe have half of this be an external outside kind of operation. But all right, now that we got bar talk, I don't mind letting the animals leave. Guys, gates are your friend. Have accessible gates. It's like outlets. My dad always wants to put an outlet every 3 feet, and I'm like, just give me one for the room. You know, two extremes, but gosh, having an outlet accessibility is great. Having gate accessibility is even better. Plan for gates and access. All right, so while we're waiting for these guys to clear out, I'm going to tell you about a gathering pen. That's where we're in here. That's the first part of a handling facility. You need a place to gather. You can't bring your animals straight in from the pasture and just run them right into the alleys. I mean, it's difficult. You can. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But it's nice to be able to bring the animals, especially the buffalo, have them sort here, stay here for overnight, calm down. Again, keeping them calm is key. And then just slowly be able to work them where you need to and break them up. How big is this, okay? Well, it depends on the size of your herd, but ours is like 210 by 180. I don't know, I could have that completely wrong. You'll see online, guys, if you get really honest about this. This has to be sized appropriately that you can break them down right. And if it's too big, you're gonna come out here with 6 people, skid steers, horses, all sorts of, you can't break them up because the animals have too much freedom to move around you. You can see from the back, we've got ourselves a partition, portable panels that we break up this thing into different kind of area. And that helps us be able to funnel animals and then slowly get around, okay? If your facility is too big, either portable panels or other things, permanent, just come up and divide it, that you can slowly segregate sections, maybe remove them when you're done. Another thing is we feed our animals here. Just kind of keep this in mind. If your animals are used to the space, they pass through for rotational grazing. We feed them their supplements in here. If they're used to the space, they will come in a lot easier. If you have to drive them, large herds, I mean, if you've got like 100 animals, there's just these massive herds and massive pastures, look, there's reasons to drive them. You don't necessarily always have to. If you can find ways on a smaller ranch to bring them in without having to stress them out, all the much better. All right, materials is the next part of this. Guys, you can do this in barbed wire. You see I have barbed wire. These things are spaced like 12 to 15 feet apart. Never had an adult bust through. It's all about where you're gonna apply the pressure. Over here, we don't have a lot of pressure. We just started putting double stays, mainly for calves, man. Calves are psycho. But we extended out some of it over here, the metal fencing. Where you're gonna apply pressure, you want solid, legit fencing, okay? Over here, we need to add solid, legit fencing. That's why we have double stays. However, we make a point to try and not get our animals riled up before we get them into here and into the pen. This is about a 1/4 acre, and we've had 47 animals at one time here, and we've worked them, and the barbed wire's never given us a problem. I'm not saying I recommend you do barbed wire, but don't freak out if certain spots just aren't steel. If I can get these guys to clear out, I'll start sorting out bar talk from them, and all will be fine, right? But patience, right? You don't want to get worked up any more than you want your animals worked up. Let's see if I can get in there and just kind of shoo them out. This is the handling facility, guys, the pens. All right, these pens aren't that bad. They're pretty good size. All right, so these pens are really just a way to break up the herd. Yeah, I see you guys are out. You guys have nothing left in there, do you? All right, the point of these pens is really just to break up the herd from the gathering pen out into here to small groups that you can send them down to the working facility down there. There's different styles, right? So if you have a large, I'm gonna put some on the screen here, some different styles of pens that you can use or facilities, right? And these facilities come from High Hog. They have design facilities there. Some of them have that gathering pen. You can see a collection pen and then straight alleys, right? Right down to the squeeze chute. Others have pens they call pre-sort pens right off the gathering before they get to really the alley. And that's what I have. I have a smaller number of animals. I think it's easier to deal with, but there's some advantages and disadvantages of both of them. I'm gonna look at my trusty sheet here and tell you some of these things. All right, so an advantage when you have large numbers and you have no pre-sort pens and you just put them right into these alleys and funnel them down, you can get that done fairly quick, okay? Because there's no other handling. You just get them in the alley and you run them down, and then slowly one by one you take them. The disadvantage, I think, is you get mix and match different sizes of animals coming through the squeeze chute. So you'll be kind of, hey, prepped for the calves, which take a certain setting of injections, maybe ear tags, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you'll have a cow. Oh, well, the cow, you've got to change your settings, no ear tags. Oh, then we have a bull. Change your settings again on all of your injections, stuff like that. And so you also have, when they're funneling down in these smaller pens, you'll have big bulls with a little calf. You just don't know what you're going to get. And so then the group sizing in these confined areas is not appropriate, and you can have injuries, right? So if there was some way to try and sort them a little bit to encourage proper distribution, that would be great. Because there's different sizes that come through at one time, I think it's slower at the squeeze chute. And just because of the different sized animals being confined, I think it's unhealthier or more risky on the animals. On the other hand, don't think that this is all super appropriate. Smaller numbers of animals, obviously you have more uniform sizing. I can split this up and get the animals the size that I want. I can pre-designate groups. Like maybe I want, hey, these are all being sold. These are all being weaned. These are all being whatever. I can divide. I can manage the herd prior to, right? And then I think it then makes it easier or faster at the chute. However, because I'm doing this, it's just a second step, making it slower overall because I'm pre-working them to organize them. So it is a little bit longer of a process. And then the last one is it's more riskier to the handler because you're probably in here doing this, okay? So if you're not comfortable in here with the animals, maybe you don't want to do it. Go back to some of those designs High Hog has. I'll try and put a link below, actually in the description of maybe their website. You can see some different designs as well, but there are different ones. No pre-sort pens and then pre-sort. I like pre-sort. We stage our animals in these 3 pens here, and we work them back and forth to sort them in those 2 pens up there, and then through the alley down here. We only sort through these side gates, not necessarily through the middle gates at the alley. So pen sizing, guys, this is key. All right, I'm going to just talk about this real quick. So these 2 pens right over here are 36 feet wide by 48 feet deep. All right. And like I said, they're the ones I use to go back and forth and sort the animals to the one I want. When I get the group that I want the size-wise, I'll exit them and put them in one of these 3 pens for storage, for working, or whatever the reason is I'm breaking them up. When I get to these larger pens, these are 72 feet long, so they're 36 by 72. And I can store a number of animals in here. You do want a certain size of pen. You do not want too big, you do not want too small. I think a 36 by 36, or I have a 36 by 48, I think is very optimal for sorting back and forth. I'm not too close to the animals. There's some distance for me to be able to use that bubble kind of effect here. All right, if you're gonna store these animals overnight, you have a certain spacing requirement. So I knew that I was gonna have no more than 50 animals. So I sized according to 50 animals, like 50 females, 50 calves, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulls. Like certain sizing requirements. If they're less than 600 pounds, I'm just gonna put this on a graph actually here on the screen. You can see it. The weight of the animal equals how many square feet. Don't skimp on this. But this is the square footage of your pens. So if you ever wondering, well, how big of pens do I need? It's like, well, how many groups do you want? And then how many would be in that group in that pen? That's how you kind of do it. So just look at this table. Immediate use, like working within a couple hours, this size. If it's overnight, hey Bartok, it's this sizing, okay? Because it's just longer time, you need more space. Okay, dude, I'm not gonna get you out of here. I know you're probably not too happy about that. I know, you're so nice. Yeah, I've seen you got, yeah. So, maybe not, right? Inside or outside, make sure you make your determination. Okay, all right, see, now I'm inside. Actually, don't be dumb like I've been in before. I'm gonna sort them now, close off the other gate. No, obviously I am in the pens, okay? So this is part of the deal. Figure out which one you want. Bartok's gonna come through real fast, and he's not the one I wanted. All right, so I sort through between these 2. There's a point at which too much space. Actually, this might be really pretty easy. All right, now I'm gonna move Bartok all the way down here. Oh, that would be bad. Look, I'll do this. Yeah. All right, pick your side. See how I'm in here, guys? I'd like to get these quick latch. If you can get those swing latches where you just shut them, that's great. However, be careful. You know, you're gonna have a stub out here that catches. And I have thrown the gate a couple times, and you're just wanting to, oh, I gotta close it really quick. And I have gotten animals right in the hip, and they've gotten stuck where their hip is right here, and that pisses them off, and it is hard to get them off. And if you have a stub sitting right out here, that will boom right into their body and probably puncture them. Because I sort out of the end on either side, I wouldn't probably put those quick latches there. Here, I just open it, let them out. I may put them over here, but I do have them. I've just been hesitant to install them. Other quick thing to note, guys, my gates are 12 feet. My alley is only 10 feet. So the alley being 10 feet wide, the gates don't open all the way. That kind of angles them in for direction purposes, but also if I was on the back side, they can't push it and hit me. All right, it doesn't open up all the way. All right, sizing the pen. Yeah, you can open it, dog. This needs to be sized appropriately, okay? These guys are probably gonna ride out, but I could just walk up to them and they're gonna start going. There goes one. Once one goes, they all go. All right, no big deal. Charlotte's gonna close that other one. Bartok's getting a little antsy, a little upset. All right, so the sizing of your pens to work them back and forth, right? You can't be too big, you can't be too small. Buffalo in particular have a flight zone. So as you enter that flight zone, they will kind of leave and maneuver around you. As I said before, we have 36-foot wide pens. So as I come up to an animal here and start going, I'm releasing over here, and that's an exit point. I can control this with a flag. I can do stuff like that. The animal will go and will exit over here, okay? If you're too narrow, you can't very easily and safely get out of that zone. You're always kind of in it. And especially if you have like 10, 15 animals in here from a larger herd you've broken down, it can get hard to cut them off because you got to break the group at a certain point. So if you're too narrow, it's a little risky. If you're too big, what happens is you can't adequately control both sides. And so you can't cut the group. If it's too big, you come over here, 15 animals run around you, then you're running over here to try and get them. Those guys then come around and just cut you back on the other side. So if I was to design a pen, I would go no bigger than 50 feet wide and no smaller than probably 28, maybe 50 feet wide, no bigger than that. Lengthwise, what happens is if you're too long, you may cut an animal out and it doesn't see the escape route, and its desire to get back with its animals is too great that it will circle you and it'll come out, right? So they don't actually leave. If it's too close, man, again, you're just right in their business and it can be dangerous that way. So if you're gonna do a pen to kind of cut and sort, I don't go bigger than 50, no narrower than 26 maybe. Even that's tight, man, that is tight. But I won't go longer than like 120. Mine are 72. I wouldn't go any shorter than 48. So 48 to 120, pushing it. But that's the reason why, because the animals you can't control, or you can't let them exit and they circle you and stuff like that. In case you guys didn't know, Ahmed and Bartok are the same age. They're both 6. They were born at the same ranch, stored at the same pens, and they have been together every day their entire lives, okay? So it's kind of cute to see Ahmed over here next to Bartok, and Bartok a little upset. He's kind of segregated off. We are gonna be selling some of the herd. We don't need 2 bulls, so we're gonna sell Bartok. Ahmed just is bigger, he's longer. He's not necessarily as friendly as Bartok, but he is what he is. And he's the more dominant one. He's more playful, Ahmed is. And Bartok used to be more dominant, but he's not anymore. So I guess once you start getting a lot of ladies around Ahmed, you kind of decided to wake up a little bit. But it's cute to see that they kind of stick together, and you kind of notice it. It's like going to be the first time they're actually apart.
They're brothers.
They're brothers, yep. From different mother, but they are brothers. Charlotte's gone over to get the tractor. We're gonna move some of these portable panels. We wanna get a weight on Bartok before we move him, so we're gonna send him through the squeeze chute, We'll get that all hooked up. That way we can kind of explain how this process works, load out, everything else like that, and then we're gonna store them in with the calves over here and wait until a couple of days when we load them out and move them. A couple points I just forgot to mention about pens. Freaking steal this thing, okay? Do not have any mesh or barbed wire. Get this legit solid stuff. All right. 2, if I was to change this, I would have put this alleyway where we're going to load out everything on an external side, so that way I could be outside shutting gates all the way down. This forces me to have to be in with the animal, and 10 feet wide gets awful tight when I got a bull on one end and I got to kind of push it back around. Alleys can be 10 feet, 12 feet, they can be 14 feet, they can be as wide as you want, 16 feet. If you're trying to work some animals and you might be in there, 10's awful tight, 16's awful big. You know, obviously, if you're just going to be going down with no pre-sort pens, you're just going to be narrowing them down as you get closer and closer, so it doesn't really make a difference. An alley, 12 feet is definitely big enough, okay? 10 feet's big enough for the animals to go down. One thing you want, oh, I forgot to mention, try not to get a facility where your animals just start bolting and running. When animals are just flying, like hauling, they're just moving, they can get injured, they can run into things, they can bust things. This little pen I store these guys in, and they nailed that and just broke that out. I had an animal come down, run, and just jump right into this gate. She came in and hit her horns and head right here. This was a straight gate, guys. There you go, you can see it. Just racked it. So try and keep their speed slow, but you operate fast. All right. Charlotte's getting these gates. Let's get this sorted out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Bartok straight from here down this alley, and I'm going to use these gates on the side to kind of lock him in. Dog, you can close that guy. I'm going to use this guy here. He's going to shut, and it's going to lock him in this little funnel. Okay, the working facility is really just that, a working facility. It's a place where you get everything combined, and all the animals are going to be down to a certain size number, and you get them into that alley, into that squeeze chute. That's its goal. I've used a funnel system to try and narrow them down and then put them into a single alley. You can have as many number of alleys as you want. There's what I call soak time. And so when I designed this, I wanted to minimize soak time. Soak time, I don't even know if it's a technical term, but it's the time when the animal becomes individualized. I wanted to minimize the time that they are alone. So I only have a single alley where they're alone, and in here, in this funnel area, I can have 2 or more animals. I put a limit, that's me, on how long I want the soak time to last. So by the time they get individual and out, then the squeeze chute at the far side, I want no longer than 3 minutes, okay? Buffalo can die in squeeze chutes, they can stress themselves out. They can die after they get out of squeeze chutes, right? They can die in the alleyway even. Like there's things. So soak time, no more than 3 minutes is what I like. That's why I only did 1 alley and then did a funnel here. So I wouldn't mind more of a box approach. I think this is too big. This ends up being like 20 feet long. If you have a box, you want to bring a couple animals in, I suggest you put it like 6 by 8 feet and then put like a slide gate at one end of it. Okay, I might put from this post and come out over another little bit out to here and maybe make a box and make this a smaller box. I don't know. Again, improvements. White paint can attract them in dark spaces, so that's why we've painted white. Obviously this stuff is going to have to be strong. Do not cheap out. Actually, let me tell you also about the alleyway. Like I said, don't cheap out. Use steel. Here we go. When I was shopping around for whatever I had to do on this, is I didn't know what size width wise we had to do, and I think our alley is like 32 inches wide. Calves can turn around in them, which kind of is a pain in the butt. Adults don't, but 32. I've seen them as small or heard of them as small as 30, and I've seen them and heard of them as big as 36. That to me is a little big. Make sure you're covered on the ground. They will try and dig out, and buffalo will try and come out up top. And this space, I probably should put another rail in here, but you want to be able to see and have access, but keep it tight, keep it strong, and you should be okay. And there again, we painted that one white as well. All right guys, portable panels, great things. Okay, I forgot to mention a few things while she's getting those things lined out. We're gonna exit him right into that gate there. So we just need some portable panels lined up here to give him an alleyway into the calves. So, important. I said before, animals can die in the squeeze chute, they can die in an alley, they can die in a funnel, in a box. Have a release point. You'll see on some of these plans here, I'll put one up on the screen, they have side doors on the alleys. These side doors allow exit points. Now there could be different reasons you want an exit point, but one of them is if an animal starts struggling here in the alleys, you can get them out. You can back them out, you can do something to free them out of that space. So we have this gate, we have that gate, which goes into another pen, right? So when they're in this funnel, if they're freaking out so bad and they're stressing out, we can release them. If an animal dies, you want to be able to get access to get them out, right? You got to clean it out. We have tractor access for down this alleyway that we can come in and reach and drag any animal out anywhere, anytime. I didn't want to ever get stuck where you have your alley system, which doesn't allow you to be able to get a 1,000-pound to 2,000-pound animal out of the alley, right? That would be super bad. Have some release gates, because you never know when you might need one. As you can see, she's just setting these things up. We should probably put one more over here, but maybe we'll park the tractor, I don't know. All right, squeeze chute, guys. Squeeze chute, don't be cheap. I'm dead serious about this. I have a pet peeve about this. I did an episode where I talked about different squeeze chutes, their cost, their options, their weight limits, and everything else like that. You're dealing with buffalo. If you're gonna deal with buffalo, take it serious and do it right. Get something that's legit. Too many people, I think, take cattle ones and modify it to fit buffalo. And so in essence, what they're doing is they're putting a crash gate on it. There's a reason buffalo have crash gates, because they're gonna crash into it. Oftentimes they'll put the distance between the front and the back of this crash gate too small, and so you'll go by and you'll see people who have animals with faces plastered all through here, and the bars are all bent all crap like. Just get a squeeze chute that's appropriate for the animal you're holding, guys. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It's a real big pet peeve. I'm trying not to get worked up, right? Scale. Have a scale in the chute or a scale in the back alley while they're waiting. You can do either way. Again, have utilities here for power, and you should be fine. All right, let me just get to the sort, the post sort. There's a time an animal is gonna leave that chute and you need it to go to a certain spot and be held. Maybe you wanna divide the herd up, and maybe you stick certain cows to go with a certain bull in one side, certain other cows with another bull in another one. Maybe you separate the calves and you want them to get held. Maybe you're selling some animals and you want to get them sorted off because they're going to be sold. Maybe you need to split gender like we had to do a couple weeks ago. All the male calves one and all the female calves another. If you have sort pens after the squeeze chute, it makes it super helpful because you can still keep them in a somewhat confined area. Sizing the pens, you know, use your judgment based on the information I gave you before to kind of make that appropriate decisions. We have sort pens, but it does not, a disadvantage, man, that we just have here that I need to fix. We usually put them in a pen A, that's 3/4 acre. That is too big to then resort them back in. And so what happens, we get them there, but then we need to come back into the squeeze chute. And we come back to the squeeze chute, or we need to come back in the pens for loadout. The animals, they're treating this like a gathering pen, and it's just way too big to manage. And so I need to find a better way to be able to get animals out here, capture still, and be able to funnel them back in. I do have, I think, a solution I'll probably share with you this next year, but that's just a thing, that is just a problem. And I gotta find some way to deal with that. But right now, these are great for storage, but not necessarily re-accessing back into the facility here. But post-sort pens, also, oh yeah, health. Post-sort pens are nice because there could be an animal that's injured, might need further treatment. You need to be able to isolate it off, finish dealing with the whole working process, and then give it treatment or something like that, okay? There's just those kinds of situations. That's a lot to deal with, guys. So I'm just gonna get Bartok pretty much weighed, sent over, but those are the 4 areas. Gathering pen, which is combining everybody down into a smaller group, a smaller setting so you can manage them. pre-sort pens or straight up alleys. Look at plans, look how you want to operate. Then you have the working facilities, however many alleys you want, their shape. Post-sort pens, guys, there's needs for it. You should do it. At least one, because when they go out after being worked, give them a day or two where you can kind of watch them closely, make sure everybody's okay. So even if you just had one small pen to release them into, then I will just say, because I hate it so much, is these animals hate being in the squeeze chute. Do not, and it just pisses me off a lot, is when people sit here and they just take their time and they twiddle their thumbs and they're like, oh, I might need a tag. Oh, well, I don't know, let me go check something else while there's an animal in the squeeze chute. Get them in, get them out. Stop twiddling your thumbs. Everybody assign jobs, everybody have a task, and just get them out, okay? This isn't the time to just sit around playing. So anyway, again, I'm just trying not to get all worked up at that, and keep your dogs away from them. Anyway, that is it. So let's get Bartok worked, get him weighed. I really want to see how much he weighs, and then over in with the calves. And putting him in with the calves may be a disaster, because in 2 days we got to get them from there all the way back into here. And I don't know, man, that kind of concerns me. All right, guys, I've been going through the film here. We're gonna actually cut this off. It got kind of crazy trying to get Bartok in, and this is kind of I want to show you kind of how this is working, but on the other hand, it's just too much to put in one video, guys. That's just gonna be insane. So tune in next time. I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna try and get Bartok down the alleyway, get him weighed, everything else like that. Nothing went to plan. And now we're kind of stuck at what we're doing, and I'm gonna fill that in with you at the next episode. So anyway, stick with us. Sorry, it's a to be continued, but so such is life, all right? Happy New Year, by the way. Hope you have a great time. Celebrate responsibly. All right, talk to you later, bye.